So I want to switch gears a little bit to the what they are calling one big beautiful bill, protects taxpayers, restores integrity to SNAP, and puts a rural America first. So this is Trump's budget bill that there were some Republicans that voted against it, was pushing against it, but it was able to get passed. So I want to play this clip here.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today in strong support of the reconciliation measure favorably reported by the House Agriculture Committee. This legislation is critical. It prevents the largest tax increase in American history from hitting our families, farmers, and small businesses. It also provides essential funding for the Trump administration to continue its work to keep our nation safe. This bill addresses two major responsibilities: restoring integrity to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, and making meaningful investments in American agriculture. SNAP is a vital safety net, but it must function as Congress intended, as a temporary bridge for those in need, not a permanent system of dependency. Since 2019, SNAP spending has jumped from $60 billion to $110 billion a year, while enrollment has grown from 36 million to 42 million. Yet, despite low unemployment and over 7 million job openings in our nation, fewer than one-third of able-bodied adults required to work under SNAP are earning income. Work requirements, once a bipartisan standard, has been sidestepped by executive actions and state waivers. Nearly 40% of recipients subject to work rules now live under waivers. That's not how the program was designed to function. States are mismanaging the program to the tune of nearly $13 billion annually in erroneous payments. That's up nearly 100% since 2019. Worse yet, most states are out of compliance with basic application timelines, forcing vulnerable families to wait months for help. Our measures correct course. It aligns SNAP with other state-administered benefit programs, requiring states to share in a minimal portion of program costs, encouraging better stewardship, fewer errors, and more timely service. Most importantly, it reinstates work as a pathway to independence and opportunity. Madam Speaker, success should be measured by outcomes, not outlays.
See, what they're talking about is several programs set up that would require workfare. In other words, you get the assistance as your obligation, like under the old Works Progress administration under Roosevelt's administration. If you wanted the assistance, you had to work. There was enough stuff we could put you to work at so you could earn what you got. I resent, and a lot of other people resent, having to pay folk for the product of their indiscriminate screwing. In other words, you're going to have babies out of wedlock. You pay for them, not me. I don't even know you. I didn't get to enjoy the orgasm or whatever that produced it. So if you keep doing that irresponsibly, then work. Hell, I don't want to work to support your habits. And a lot of people feel that way. See, the other thing is that part of this is hooked up with the whole tariff thing. Americans pay a lot of money to buy agricultural products from foreign sources, all right? We get hit when we try to sell them with huge tariffs from foreign entities, but we were not charging tariffs for imported food. Yet, to compound this ridiculous situation, the American farmer was being paid not to grow food. And here we have the SNAP program that could use it, along with a mandate that the people who get it work. But our farmers were being paid not to grow food while we spent all of our money importing food that was not subject to tariffs and was coming in at a rate that, when combined with what we were subsidizing our farmers not to grow, made it very expensive for the United States to get a hold of. Now, what we are doing is saying, enough of this. We will charge high tariffs on imported food, We will stop having to subsidize the American farmer because he now will have a market to sell his food, which will be internal, and that all will return to a degree of rationality. This is like somebody getting a coherent program together of put A together with B, C, D, E, F, and G, and so on down, so all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So that makes sense to me. But
Well,
this is touching the highlights with what's wrong with our agricultural setup. We subsidize our farmers not to grow food, and in the process, turn around and spend a lot of money buying imported food. It doesn't make sense.
well, there are people who are saying that he is cutting Medicaid. So it says
He's
how.
not cutting Medicaid. That's BS. I get it. Medicaid, I don't get because Tennessee won't accept it. We have Medicare, but I know I spend $14,600 for the whole panoply of expenses to get Medicare. And 2 years ago, I paid $1,600 to get full ultimate coverage private insurance. It's ridiculous.
So this is by USA Today. It says House Republicans are proposing sweeping changes to the federal Medicaid program that would kick millions of beneficiaries off the health insurance program, which covers more than 71 million low-income Americans. The bill will introduce a raft of new rules and regulatory requirements for those seeking coverage. Families of four making as little as $35,000 would see new costs for going to the doctor. Some unemployed people will become ineligible for Medicaid, and some seniors will lose access to long-term care coverage. And states will lose a portion of federal dollars that help them cover those just above the poverty line. The bill will also bar Medicaid from funding services at clinics that also performs abortion such as Planned Parenthood. The proposal is part of a massive policy package that aims to implement President Donald Trump's campaign promises, including an array of tax cuts that will cost an estimate $4 trillion over the next 10 years. Under pressure from ultra conservative in the Republican conference, congressional leaders are trying to find ways to offset the revenue loss with commensurate cuts to federal spending. Health insurance benefits programs are one of the largest federal spending categories. Trump has said Medicare cuts are off the table. So changes to Medicaid became a central focus of potential cost savings for Republicans. Why are they even touching Medicaid?
Well, see, the reason they are is not really touching Medicaid, is dealing with the avaricious medical insurance industry. Dr. Bill Frist, former senior U.S. Senator from the state of Tennessee, drafted what is now known as Obamacare. It's a sop for his family's business, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield. And the medical insurance industry is killing off everybody, with the blame being put on Big Pharma, which isn't really the case. They have some blame, but they're not the primary beneficiaries of the mess. So what they're talking about cutting back Medicaid on is simply slimming down the advantage that goes to the medical insurance industry rather than to the people. There is a lot of money being spent that could be used directly on behalf of people that through Medicaid and other plans goes to medical insurance company subsidies, and also maintains a huge store of cash that is available to be raided without penalty for other agenda items that the far left was supporting through previous administrations. It would cut that off. It doesn't really do anything about reducing the coverage nor the extent to which families are benefited. It just realistically reassigns where it's going. And it looks bad if you look at it from one sense, but it looks good from another because it's cutting the medical insurance companies out of their enormous profits
Mhm.
Now, I'm not talking about all forms of medical insurance, because some that comes through general insurance companies that also handle homeowners insurance, vehicle insurance, theft insurance, hazard insurance, they have deep pockets and they can give you great deals on medical insurance. But if you deal with companies like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Humana, and that kind of thing, they rely on this propaganda rep that allows them to get away with enormous profits, delivering very little in return.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to cite personal experience with this, but I could. But generally, if you get insurance through a deep pocket general insurance company, you'll pay 1/3 to 1/4 what you pay if you get the benefits through a medical insurance company.
Right. Well, here's the thing though, because I did see a clip of a woman, and she was at a state, I don't know if it was a city council, but it was a state official meeting. It was a woman in a wheelchair, an electrical wheelchair, and she has HIV, and she was saying, "You are cutting my Medicaid benefits, which means that I'm going to have to pay out of pocket for very expensive pharmaceutical drugs." But I want to play this clip here.
Well, see, the thing of it is the prices would be reduced, because right now, for example, I just went in and I had to deal with this through my carrier. I got jacked up because a prescription ran out and they gave me a 30-day supply, which was $482. But for a 90-day supply, the entire copay was just $19.07. So why is it that for 90 days you pay $19.07, but for 30 days you pay $482, and that would be times 3 to make up for it, which is almost $1,400. Well, the way Affordable Care Act provisions are written in, it benefits the medical insurance companies so they can get away with that. So what the Trump administration is talking about doing is resolving that. So if they can get away with $19 and some change for 90 days, divide that by 3, that's just like $6.50 per month. That's what they will be able to get away with, not the 4 times 400, 3 times $482, which is what they wind up getting back from the government or from the consumer if you allow Obamacare to stay. So why should we pay that exorbitant excess to the medical insurance company?
Let me play this clip.
But starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care, countries where they paid a small fraction of what for the same drug.
That too.
That what we pay many, many times more for. And we'll no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing. But they've gotten away.
Stop that a second.
Only a minute. 11.
I know, but I want this, not that I'm copying him, but I reached the same conclusion he's going to state, which is this. He's desirous of requiring that the American pharmaceutical industry, which includes the insurance company, charge the American public no more than the least price they charge foreign entities. So if they charge us $800 for a dosage of this stuff, but they let some foreign country get it for the equivalent of $11 and some cents, then that's all they can charge Americans is $11 and some cents. He's going to say that, I think, probably. Now, keep going.
Away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal. And the drug companies actually told me stories. It was just brutal how they forced them. And European Union suing all our companies, Apple, Google, Meta. They're suing all of our companies. They end up, they have judges that are European Union-centric, and they get rewarded 15 billion, 17 billion, 20 billion, and they use that to run their operation. Not going to happen any longer, that I can tell you.
He's talking about big pharmaceutical.
He's talking about something else, but I think he's also going to be proposing that the highest price the American pharmaceutical and medical insurance industry can charge for a drug will be no more than the minimum that they charge foreign entities. He hasn't gotten to that. This is a whole different point about what the Euro Union is doing. The Euro Union is essentially the equivalent of the United States of America. You have a bunch of sovereign entities that have unified in a large governed entity. You have states which are also synonymous with nations that join 13 of them to form a bigger union. Europe adopted that 250 years after the fact, 30 years after the fact, and 200 years after the fact, and they now have the Euro Union that basically copies what the United States of America did, which can also be termed accurately as the United Nations of North America. You have the Union of European states or nations came up with that duplicates what America's doing. So they're trying to gouge American interests to fund some of the things that they do. So he's saying, hey, we can retaliate. We're going to stop this. Either we drop it or we will have a nice little war, this financial war, to see who can blink first, who's going to blink first. So I like it.
Hakeem Jeffries, and he gets upset.
He's an idiot.
My expectation that President Biden is going to meet this moment with the courage and resilience that he's consistently shown. Seems to me entirely inappropriate that at this moment in time, when President Biden is dealing with a serious an aggressive form of cancer, there are Republicans who are peddling conspiracy theories and want us to look backward at a time when they actually are taking health care away from the American people. No, as House Democrats, we're going to look forward. They literally are trying to take health care away from millions of Americans at this very moment in the dead of night. Republicans want to fan the flames of conspiracy theories at this moment? No, thank you. My expectation.
Are you lying dog, you? If you want to deal with the truth of the matter, you can go over the legislative background that deals with Medicaid and Medicare. What happens is, unfortunately, there is no prohibition on elements in the federal government borrowing from Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and there's no deadline as to when the borrowed money has to be paid back. So they want this money left in Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, so they can raid it for purposes of their social agenda, meaning rainbow cult benefits. And that's how they've been funding it, because there's not enough money that's been appropriated for it, but they can take it and in effect steal it because they've never paid any of it back. And that's why you keep hearing about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid's got to be broken so many years, because they keep going after it and taking it. And they don't want anything to subtract from what goes into it, because that's how they get their soft money to fund their programs, which have nothing to do with America's health care.